Miss Chang's class decides to participate in a walkathon. Each participant must find sponsors to pledge a certain amount of money for each kilometer the participant walks. We're going to learn a little bit more about this later, so if that's a little confusing to you right now, that's okay. But the main idea is that what these kids are going to do is they're going to walk a certain amount and people will pay them for however much they walk. So then Leanne, one of the students in her class, suggests that they determine their walking rates in meters per second so they can make predictions. So we're going to be using the rate meters per second in this part A. So again, because of COVID restrictions, we have to do things a little differently this year. So one way we're going to do this differently is instead of everyone calculating their own walking rate, we're going to calculate just a volunteer. So I'm going to read through this and talk about what we're going to do in the future here. So one way to define your walking rate is the distance you walk for every second of walking time. This is also a unit rate, just to keep that idea in mind, because we're talking about the distance for every 1 second. That's a sort of hidden one or silent one in math. So to determine walking rate, you measure and record a length to walk. In our case, it will be 10 meters. Then we will time in seconds how long it takes. We will have a single volunteer walk this and report the number to the class. So instead of everybody calculating their own this year, because we can't be in the hallways to calculate it, we're going to just have one volunteer walk for our class, and then we're going to use their number. So what is the volunteer's walking rate in meters per second? So this is going to change from class to class. So what I'm going to do is if you're not able to participate with us in class, you're at home or you missed a day or whatever it is, let's say that the person took 7 seconds to walk the 10 meters. So to calculate our walking rate, we need to do meters per second. So we would take our 10 meters per 7 seconds. So we would take 10 divided by 7. And in our calculator, we can put that in 10 divided by 7. And we get this number, 1.42857, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this number that you have right here, you don't have to write all of those numbers. Let's just round it to the tens place. So we're just going to call this 1.4 meters per second. So we're going to say 1.4 for our meters per second. So if you want to write your units at the end of that, you could say meters per second. 1.4. I'm going to make that a little bit easier to see. Again, this will change on every class, so pay close attention. If you missed the class day, you're going to use these numbers. If you're in class with us, you're going to use the numbers that came from our volunteer.